Here we are, Radio Row, Super Bowl week here in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona, and OMG, I got the legend here himself, Mr. Sun Devil, Jake the Snake Plummer. Oh my goodness. The reason why is because he had one of the greatest performances I've ever seen any football player have at the granddaddy of them all at the Rose Bowl. And guess who else was with him that day? Mr. Pat Tillman, who we're going to be talking about today as well, too, since we're going to be talking about his foundation. I can't wait to talk about these things. Jake, it's great to see you, brother. How's everything going?
Life is good. Down here on the Radio Row today to talk about a former teammate and a brother and his foundation that's being run by some awesome individuals. And also just to come down and feel the vibe down here. This is a powerful place. Lots of stuff's going on, and life's going well for me, so thank you for flashing me back to the Rose Bowl. I had some good times in that building.
Man, I'm telling you, stellar performance. But you know what? I'm not going to forget about the man in the center, the man in the middle, Mr. Dan Futrell. How you doing today, sir? Explain to the people exactly who you are.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having us here. My name is Dan Futrell, CEO of the Pat Tillman Foundation. We're here because right after the national anthem, we're going to celebrate 4 Tillman scholars as the honorary coin toss captains for the game on Sunday. So excited about that. I work at the foundation, and we're all about supporting veterans and military spouses as they're going back to school and making an impact in the world. And all of us continue to be inspired by Pat, the life that he lived, and it'll be a nice moment to shine a light on his life and his legacy that we're trying to carry forward.
Well, we know that Jake and Pat were very, very tight. They literally took their football paths together as well too, playing for the Arizona Cardinals, playing at Arizona State, and just being Arizona legends in general. How did that relationship mold you throughout the rest of your life, especially when he made the greatest sacrifice to join the military to fight for his country?
Yeah, I think about Pat a lot, and he's somebody that left an indelible impression on so many. I was just blessed to have had him and call him a true friend, one of my best friends. I mean, he treated me like a best friend, where there were times I probably should have treated him a little bit better, and that was just Pat. He didn't care. He wanted, if he loved you and you were in his circle, he was going to make sure he knew what you were up to and how you were doing. And he's really motivated me to follow my path and be really sure of who I am. And for a while in my past, I didn't speak about Pat for a while because I really wasn't in that light myself, living through a little bit of transition and things going on in my life. And then I realized, I'm the only one that can control that. And Pat really showed that you are the only one that can control where your destiny goes or where your life goes. And that's by just living and being real, being in the moment. And that's really what Pat was all about. He's taught me a lot about just how to be a good friend to people. And what better thing than a good friend to call me before he left for his last tour of duty, to check on me as I was going through a big transition in my life, to see how I was doing. And here he is getting ready to leave town, and I didn't even have him on a list to call to say, hey, brother, I love you, and he was calling to check on me. And that's just the kind of guy he was. I'm one of a whole slew of individuals that would speak about him in that kind of a regard as really a true, genuine friend that really cared about not just his friends, but all of humanity. I mean, he was really an awesome human.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Now, this is a great foundation, and I want to know more about it. So, Dan, why don't you tell me a little bit more about the foundation?
Sure. We are a scholarship and a leadership development organization. We believe in veterans and military spouses, and they're being uniquely positioned to make a big difference in the world. And so every year we go through a process, and right now if you have veterans and military spouses who are listening, please apply. The scholarship application is open through February 28th. But we believe in veterans and military spouses. We go through this application process. We pick 60 a year, and we offer them educational support through a scholarship. But really, when you're selected as a Tillman Scholar, you're a Tillman Scholar for life. So it's like, okay, you might have a year left, 2 years left, 3 years left, whatever it is on your educational journey, but you're a Tillman Scholar for life. And what that means for us is we still expect you to make a difference in the world. We're still going to look at you if you're a 2009 Tillman Scholar or a 2019 Tillman Scholar or a 2022 Tillman Scholar. We're going to say, what are you doing? What are you doing with the world, and how can we help you? How can we help you? You're part of this community of 800 Tillman Scholars. What are you going to do positively for the world? And for me, for all of our team on the foundation staff, and for our scholar community, I would say that is really rooted in optimism. It's really rooted in believing in somebody else's ability to make a positive difference in the world, and that feels fucking great, first of all. It feels fucking great to be rooted in optimism and to be in a position to support other people trying to make a difference. That's what we do at the foundation, and it is, I think a lot of people are going to get to see 4 Tillman Scholars and their difference and know that there's 798 out there, more than that, who are doing the same thing.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. This is. I'm very intrigued, and I think that this is something that's very exceptional, especially how I would say you put in a residual factor for these young individuals, because literally, you got school teachers that love you one year in 12th grade, but you come back, your next year out of college, and it's just, what's your name again? So, that's great that you guys still have retained with these children and make sure that you're still there for the journey. So that's a beautiful thing. Now, Jake, when you join this now you see this because this is your great friend, but when you join this foundation, what's your key goal for it as well too?
To carry on with passion. As you hear Dan speak, you can hear how he's speaking. This is something that he wakes up every day and wants to do, and that really to carry on the light of just how Pat lived his life with a lot of passion. The statue of him on the field yelling is really, to me and to a lot of people, it's kind of like, wow, that was the Pat that was that guy on the field, but off the field, he was just a really mellow, genuine, loving dude. And so for me to be involved and have the connection I have with Pat, it just gives me a chance to have the voice that I have to help people listen and hear what we're up to and what's going on. And, they're doing the work. I just was a teammate and a friend of Pat's and have been looked upon as time goes, being and by standing at ASU and with the Cardinals, to kind of talk on his behalf or to field questions that would normally go to maybe some of his family that it's hard for them. Sometimes it's hard for them to continually talk about this amazing human being and he's not here. But for me, I've come to accept that he's not here, and I have to accept that and be able to live in the light of what he shared with me in the time we spent together. So I gladly am here to be a representative of Pat. As many others would joyfully be here too, to sit in this seat and share stories of how much Pat meant to them. Out of all those guys we were at with ASU, there's hundreds of guys over there that had a strong, strong bond to a really special human. And so it lights me up to hear you talk with such passion, Dan, about what you're doing. I can feel your excitement for it. And Pat would love that. And so carrying on his legacy, I don't know if Pat would love to be as big as he is. He may be like, I just want to go live in, I don't like being able to not go anywhere anymore because everybody sees me. But I always knew Pat down that he did like that. He did like when they'd call his name out. He liked when people would scream his name. And, he did. Everybody likes that. So to keep carrying on in the passion and light that he brought to this world in the short time he was here is nice to know. And to back up the Pat Tillman Foundation that's doing nothing but making the world a better place, it's an honor to be here.
Now, Dan, how do you look at the foundation going into the future? What are you guys evolving into? Because we all know that you want to keep adding on more and more positive things, so then you can have these people that might help us change the world. How about that?
Yeah, well, early on, the board of the foundation made a decision to support a few people very deeply. And it's interesting to hear stories about Pat and how he connected with people, but he did so deeply, and how that might be kind of in our DNA here. We support 60 Tillman Scholars a year, and we try to, as I said earlier, you're a scholar for life, and we're with you. As we look to the next 20 years, we're coming on 19 here. As we look to the next 19, 20 years down the road, we're putting a big stake in the ground for leadership development. And everything that I've heard and learned about Pat, on the field, off the field, in individual relationships, in groups, he was showing a version of leadership in a variety of different ways. And I think there's a lot that we could still learn from Pat's example. And when we look at the 800 Tillman Scholars that we've supported, they all have their different story. They're very different stories, but they all have their different stories of leadership. And so we're putting a stake in the ground for values-based leadership. Just last month, we launched the Tillman Leadership Institute, where we're putting Tillman Scholars in front of companies, in front of governmental agencies, in front of student athletes in a variety of settings, and we're asking them to share their stories about leadership, share the times when you failed, share the times when you succeeded and what you learned from it, and we're trying to invest in values-based leadership in a variety of different ways. And you know, there's a term out there called a leadership gap. And it's an academically studied phenomenon where it basically says leaders today don't have the skills to solve the problems of tomorrow. And you know, there's science behind it, whatever that is, but we're trying to fill that leadership gap. We believe veterans and military spouses are uniquely positioned to fill that gap, and that's what we're doing for the next 20 years. We're filling that leadership gap in a variety of different ways.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Well, I'm getting that signal, but I still got just one last question, and this is beautiful stuff that I'm hearing. And I hate to switch the subject like this, but come on, we're here for the Super Bowl, and we got Jake Plummer here with us. So, Jake, give me a little prediction, and what are your thoughts really quickly on the game?
I'm excited for the game. I'll be honest, I didn't watch a whole lot of football this year. I recently got rid of my TV in the house, so I live without a TV, so it's hard to watch the games. But I did watch the last two games prior, and I'm super excited because the two kids behind center are fun to watch. They're exciting. There's a time where Jalen Hurts maybe would have never had the opportunities been given to lead a team and get to the Super Bowl because he didn't check all these boxes of Mel Kiper and all these analysts. Well, now he's here, and so it's going to be fun to watch this kid who's dreamt about this his whole life to now have the ability to tell everybody, you know what, I'm here. This isn't too big for me. I'm going to shine, and my guys are with me, and they're great leaders. Both teams have great leaders. You speak about leaders. These guys, Mahomes and Hurts, are leaders, and so I love playing in Philly. Love getting a couple cheesesteak sandwiches. Had some awesome comebacks in Veterans Stadium. So I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles, 28-27, and that's because Jalen's going to get the ball back last. Now, if he scores too soon, it could be Patrick Mahomes taking it down and they win 30-28. So you get what I'm saying here, whatever QB has it last, but I'm vibing that it's going to be Jalen and the Eagles, and they're going to win.
Dan, do you have anything for me?
Listen, I am much less qualified to have an opinion on that. I'm a 49ers fan, so I'm still grieving for the last couple of weeks. So listen, I hope the best team wins, and it'll be fun to watch.
Man, that's what I love to hear. So Jake is telling us that the Chiefs are going to cover spread, and we're going to get the over. Because he said 28-27. But this was beautiful stuff. Dan, Jake, thank you guys so much. I look forward to speaking to you guys in the near future as well, too, and talking more about the Pat Tillman Foundation as well, too. But with that, we are a wrap. This is your boy, the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Kappa, and this is Fanatic Views, and I am gone.